Hello, welcome back to another VCV rack tutorial. It's been about a year since I made one of these tutorials, so it's high time I did one. Since last time, VCV rack is updated to 0.6.2, and they've added a few new buttons. So over in the top menu, so let's take a look at those. There's a Revert Patch right here. So if you save this patch on disk and then add something, you can click Revert Patch and it'll revert to the last saved state, which is pretty sweet. There's a Disconnect Cables button to remove all of the cables. And let's revert that. There's a engine sample rate. I think that was there before. And there's a toggle power meter, which lets you see how many milliseconds each module is taking. So you can see the most intensive from a CPU standpoint, which modules are slowing your system down if you have a slow machine or you have a lot of modules, which is pretty cool. There's also a lock modules button, so you can lock it so you can't drag these around. You can still interact, but you cannot drag. You can also unlock it. There's also changes to the website. So if you go to the Manage Plugins site, there's now a popularity field that you can sort by. I think by default it's sorted by name. But if you click on this popularity dude, then it'll tell you what the most popular plugins are, which is pretty cool. So today, let's take a look at one module I like a lot. It's not super popular. It's called Submarine Utilities. So there's two modules in this bank. There's the module browser and the wire manager. So let's load them both up. Submarine Utilities, wire manager. And of course, since it's been a year, there's a ton of modules now. Just tons and tons. It's crazy. So in the Submarine Utilities, there's these two modules. Let's take a look at the Wire Manager first. So the Wire Manager, what he does is he lets you choose which colors come out of VCV rack. By default, I think there's also a gray one and some others. But I just limited it in my setup to just green, red, and blue. So all the cables are that. So I think this yellow cable, if I drag it again, it's going to be green, then red, then blue. See, it cycles that way, which is pretty sweet. Like I won't see any yellow. You can also drag the order around if you really want a specific order. You can change the exact color if you want it exactly like the color you want. You can delete it. You can change it, make it have variations on hue, saturation, and light level. You can turn off highlighting. You can only do it when it's hovering, so you can see like which modules are connected to where. Or you can just leave it always on. Looks like off is pretty good, or maybe when highlighting. What does this thing do? Is this like a intensity slider? Yeah, it looks like it is. That's the intensity of it. Gotta click away to see it. Yeah, off is good with me. And then this button minimizes it, so don't really need that. I don't use this module very much, but it's nice to be able to set up and avoid wire colors I don't really like gray, because it's hard to see them. Next module I really like is the module browser. So let's take a look at its features. So the first tab is this tab here, which just lists all the modules. Very similar to the right-click menu you see here. But instead of trying to go through, click, and then click to get to a module, it's now click and then click to load a module. But what's great is this menu still opens. If I wanted to load all of Audio DAF's plugins, for example, I could just click through his entire set, and then it just loads them all around it, which is pretty sweet. So I like that a lot. It's a lot easier than right-clicking all the time if you're trying to do module browsing. Next one is tags. So it's the same stuff. If you look through, if you go down here past your favorites list, authors, and I think past that there's tags. You can also search for them, but if you search for, let's say, mixers, then you'll see a list of all the mixers across all the plugins. There's a ton of them. So let's say you choose this mixer, and then you're like, well, I don't want that mixer. So now you got to go scroll all the way down, find that tag again, mixer, and choose a different one. So it's real kind of annoying to go through the list of mixers. With the module browser, you just click this tab right here, then you choose, find the tag you want, go back. I want to choose mixer. So I scroll down to this one, and here is the mixer list. Let's give myself some space. Let's delete these ones. So now I can just click through and add all the mixers. You know, if I'm careful about it, I can add all the mixers, which is pretty sweet. And I can check them all out one by one. So let's delete all those. Bring it back. So the next tab is your favorites. So anything you've marked as favorited will show up here. Same deal. Then there's another button for, it looks like a save icon, but it's not exactly save, or it's not exactly save, it's load. But it's not the same as the normal load, because what it does, it's a merge load. So if you open up an existing file, then what it will do is it'll just add to it. So I saved this file as test. So if I keep clicking load test, it merges it in. So you can see here, it just put it somewhere, put it over here. So if you want to merge multiple VCV rack patches together, save files together, this is a great feature. Then the last button is a minimize. So you can get it out of the way if you want. Don't really use that too much. There are a couple extra features I added in for folks that are good with building plugins manually. I did a couple pull requests. So if you put those in your branch, you'll get a couple extra features. So if I switch to the version of module browser that I've modified, it comes with a couple extra buttons. As you can see here, these two in the center have the same art as the existing ones, but they are new. And there's one extra feature. So if you click this button again, it will actually sort by the number of modules. So you can see which plugin sets have the most modules and which have the least. And if you scroll down to core, it will tell you the total number. So it says, hey, you have 1,327 modules inside of 119 plugins. So that's pretty nuts. If you want to do some quick counting of how many plugins you have installed and how many modules you have installed. The other thing you can do is, if you click this button, this is similar to your favorites list, but it's based on module instead of, so it looks through all of your favorites list all here and identifies which plugins you like. It's basically favoriting plugins based on this list. So we'll say, okay, you like Audible Instruments and like AS and Autodaf, and it'll pull out each one. So you can click in and then see all that list. So it's basically kind of it's basically favorite plugins instead of favorite modules. So that's kind of neat. And the last feature is this feature, which is, this is an add next. So let's start a new patch. Okay, so if I clear the patch and then I go into a module list instead of, if I go into a plugin I like, let's say AS, and I want to really see all of AS's modules, it's kind of hard because I had to click one by one. And before you couldn't see it. Before you couldn't see which one you were at. So now there is a button that I added in my pull request. This button right here, which is an add next. So you can just keep clicking this button and it'll add, it keeps adding the next one in the list. And if you click around, it'll move the marker. So if you click around, you can add the next. So now you can just quickly add all of the modules that AS has done. Tons and tons of modules. Which is pretty sweet. And that's about it. So check out the module browser if you haven't already. I think it's a pretty cool utility. Thanks for watching. See you next time.